The desert night was silent. At the edge of Nevada's barren flats, the deep space communications array pointed its massive dishes toward the sky. The dishes turned slowly, like giants searching the heavens. Each one listened to the faintest whispers of the universe. Inside the control room, fluorescent lights buzzed softly. The hum of machines filled the air. Dr. Lisa Martinez sat hunched at her console, rubbing her tired eyes. The clock on the wall glowed 3:00 a.m. Everyone else had gone home. Only she and the night shift security guard remained. Lisa loved this hour. The world was quiet. The stars felt closer. She often thought of herself as a listener for Earth, a watcher in the void. For 20 years she had heard nothing but silence, radio static, pulsars humming, Jupiter's endless waves, the same cold music of the cosmos. But tonight felt different. She didn't know why. Her finger tapped the desk as she watched the scrolling data on her screen. Numbers, patterns, lines of noise. At first it was routine. Earth satellites, background signals from the galaxy, nothing unusual. Then she saw it. A strange sequence flashed across the monitor, hidden deep inside the static, too regular to be random, too sharp to be natural. Lisa's heart skipped a beat. She leaned forward, staring at the data. Her voice trembled. "Kevin, are you still here?" From the next room, footsteps approached. Dr. Kevin Brooks, carrying a half-empty coffee mug, stepped inside. His shirt was wrinkled and his face looked just as tired as hers. "Yeah, I was just finishing reports. What is it?" Lisa pointed at the screen. "Look." Kevin frowned, setting his mug down. The numbers scrolled across the monitor again. For several long seconds he said nothing. Then he whispered, "That's not natural." Lisa nodded quickly. "And it's not Earth. No satellite transmits like that." Kevin pulled up a chair, typing commands rapidly. He ran the signal through filters, decoding tools, frequency analyzers. His excitement grew with each result. "Lisa," he said, eyes wide, "this is artificial. Someone sent this on purpose." Her breath caught. She had dreamed of this moment her entire career, but now that it was here, she felt a strange chill down her spine. Together they worked for hours, peeling layers of static away, breaking down the hidden signal. Slowly, shapes began to emerge. Mathematical sequences, star charts, patterns that looked like a language. Lisa whispered, "It's a message." Her hands shook as she fed the signal into the lab's new AI translator. The system hummed loudly, processors crunching through data. 30 minutes passed in silence, broken only by Kevin sipping cold coffee and Lisa's nervous tapping on the console. Then words appeared on the screen. "To anyone who receives this message, we are the Valdari. We come from the world you call Kepler 442b. We send this plea across the stars. Our world is dying. Our people are being destroyed by an enemy we cannot defeat." Lisa's mouth went dry. She read the text aloud, her voice thin with disbelief. Kevin whispered, "My God." The message continued, line by line. The Valdari were a peaceful people, artists and scientists who had never known war. 6 months ago, a new empire had arrived in their system, the Krillians, ruthless conquerors, slavers. They had burned cities, captured millions, and demanded total submission. The Valdari had no weapons, no armies. They were explorers, not fighters. Their ships were built for learning, not killing. The message begged for help, for rescue from across the galaxy. The AI translated star maps, ship specifications, tactical data. It was everything a military might need to plan a defense. Lisa's hands shook as she whispered, "They're asking us for military aid." The door opened with a metallic hiss. A tall man in uniform stepped in, Lieutenant Colonel Jake Peterson, Earth's military liaison to the array. His hair was gray, his eyes sharp and weary. He looked at them both. "I got the call. You found something unusual." His voice carried the weight of too many wars. Kevin handed him a printout. "Sir, this is real. It's from outside the solar system. It's a call for help." Jake scanned the message. His face grew darker with each word. Finally, he looked up. "They're asking for soldiers." Lisa nodded. "Yes, and they're dying." The three of them stood in silence as the AI continued to translate. More horrors appeared. Images of Valdari cities turned to ash. Videos of peaceful aliens dragged into ships. Children separated from their parents. Jake's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone. "I need to wake Admiral Wright." As he made the call, Lisa stared at the glowing screen. She had spent her life listening to the universe. She always imagined the first alien message would be about peace, knowledge, or friendship, but instead, it was a cry for help. And Earth had heard it. Jake hung up, his expression grim. Admiral Wright wants a briefing at dawn. Prepare everything. In a few hours, the most powerful leaders on Earth will know. Lisa turned to the window. Outside, the massive dishes pointed at the stars. For the first time, she felt like they weren't just listening. They were being watched. Kevin's voice was low. "Lisa, what do you think Earth will do?" She swallowed hard. "I don't know." The AI beeped again. A new line appeared on the screen. "If you receive this, then you are our last hope. The Krillians will soon finish conquering our world. But if you believe that innocent people should not suffer, then help us. Stop the Krillians before they destroy other worlds too." The room went silent. Only the hum of the machines remained. Lisa stared at the final line, her chest tight with fear and wonder. For the first time in human history, Earth had been called to war not for itself, but for strangers across the stars. And dawn was only hours away. The sun rose over Washington, D.C. Inside the Pentagon, the war room glowed with harsh white lights. Screens covered the walls, filled with maps, star charts, and the alien message. The room was crowded: generals, admirals, defense secretaries, intelligence chiefs. At the head of the table sat Admiral Susan Wright, her uniform pressed, her dark eyes sharp. Dr. Lisa Martinez stood nervously at the center with Kevin beside her. They had flown from Nevada only hours ago. She still felt the desert dust on her clothes. Admiral Wright tapped her pen against the table. "Dr. Martinez, Dr. Brooks, tell them what you told me." Lisa swallowed hard. She explained the signal, the Valdari plea, the maps, the technical data. Kevin added details about the decoding. They showed images: Valdari cities bombed into rubble, Valdari prisoners dragged into ships. The room was silent except for the sound of shifting papers and the quiet hum of projectors. General Carlos Martinez, no relation to Lisa, leaned forward, frowning. "So you're saying a species we've never met is asking us to travel 50 light-years across space to fight an empire we know nothing about?" Lisa's voice cracked but held steady. "Yes, General, and they're dying now." Some of the officers exchanged doubtful looks. Defense Secretary Robert Hayes shook his head. "We don't even know if this is real. It could be the most elaborate hoax in history." Admiral Wright cut him off sharply. "Secretary Hayes, this signal has been verified by 3 independent observatories. It came from Kepler 442b. It's not a hoax." General Martinez slammed a hand on the table. "Even if it's real, why should Earth risk everything? Our ships aren't ready for interstellar war. Our people aren't prepared. We could be sending our children into a slaughter." Admiral Wright leaned forward. Her voice was cold and steady. "Because the Valdari are innocent, because they are begging for help, and because if the Krillians destroy them, they won't stop there. They will move on to the next world. Maybe one day that world will be ours." The room fell silent again. Kevin spoke softly. "They sent us everything: charts of the Krillian fleet, weak points, enemy formations. They gave us all they had. They trusted us with their last hope." The words hung in the air like a weight. The door opened. Everyone stood as President Angela Davis entered, her face calm but her eyes tired. She looked around the room, then at Lisa. "I've been briefed. I want to hear it from you directly. Doctor, is it real?" Lisa met her gaze. "Madam President, yes, it's real." The president nodded slowly. She turned to the officers. "I've spoken with the leaders of every major nation. If we respond as one planet, not as separate countries." Secretary Hayes looked shocked. "Madam President, you can't be serious." President Davis raised her hand. "I am serious. Earth has been waiting for first contact for centuries. Now it has happened, not as an offer of trade, not as science, but as a cry for help. If we ignore it, we prove ourselves cowards. If we answer, we show the galaxy who we really are." A hush fell over the room. Admiral Wright's voice was firm. "Then we must begin at once. We'll need every ship we can build. Civilian freighters, mining vessels, colony transports, everything must be converted for war. The Krillians won't wait for us." The president looked around at the gathered leaders. "So the question is simple: do we answer the call?" For a long moment, no one spoke. Then General Martinez slowly raised his hand. His voice was rough. "I lost my son in Afghanistan. He died protecting people he didn't even know. I hated that war, but if there's a chance to stop another people from being enslaved, I say yes." Others followed. One by one, the officers agreed, some reluctantly, some firmly. Finally, the president nodded. "Then it is decided. Earth will not stand by while innocents die." 2 days later, the Luna shipyards blazed with light. Cargo ships, mining haulers, even colony vessels floated in dry dock, swarming with workers. Engineers cut into hulls, installing armor plates. Mechanics ripped out cargo bays and replaced them with missile racks. Civilians volunteered by the thousands, welding, carrying supplies, offering whatever skills they had. At the heart of the shipyard stood Chief Engineer Danny Walsh, grease covering his hands. He stared at a grain transport now wrapped in crude steel plates. Maria Santos, his assistant, shook her head. "How do we turn this flying barn into a warship in 3 days?" Danny wiped sweat from his brow. "We don't. We're not making warships, Maria. We're making tools, and humans know how to use tools better than anyone." Nearby, Colonel Ben Harrison drilled squads of Marines in zero-gravity training. They stumbled, cursed, sweated, but learned fast. The Krillians think they're unstoppable because they've never fought humans. They're about to learn what dirty fighting means. Across the base, Dr. Patricia Cole studied the Valdari files. She spoke to her young lieutenant. "The Krillians fight like kings. They announce themselves, demand surrender, then strike with overwhelming fire. It's all intimidation and spectacle, very organized, very predictable." The lieutenant frowned. "And us?" Patricia smiled grimly. "Us, we fight like survivors, unpredictable, relentless. That's what will win." On the 3rd day, the fleet assembled above Luna. 200 ships, some sleek destroyers, most ugly and patched with armor. They looked nothing like a navy. They looked like a scrapyard dragged into orbit. But inside, they burned with purpose. 20,000 men and women from every nation, united under one banner. Admiral Wright stood on the bridge of her flagship, the S Vengeance. She gazed out at the fleet, pride and fear mixing in her chest. "Admiral," her comms officer said, "incoming transmission, it's the Valdari." The voice that filled the bridge was soft, trembling with exhaustion. "People of Earth, we never expected an answer. We never expected an entire fleet. We do not know how to repay such kindness to strangers." Admiral Wright picked up the microphone. "Valdari friends, you don't need to repay us. We're coming because it's right. Hold on just a little longer." Her words echoed across the bridge, across the fleet, across Earth. The galaxy had sent its first call to war, and humanity had answered. But as the fleet prepared to depart, sensors detected something unexpected. A second signal, faint and distorted, hidden within the Valdari transmission. Lisa leaned over her console, heart pounding. "Wait, this isn't Valdari." Kevin's face drained of color as he read the translation. "To the Krillian command, Earth has taken the bait. Their fleet is coming." Lisa froze. Kevin whispered in horror. "It's a trap." The war room fell silent. Lisa Martinez's voice was barely a whisper. "It's not Valdari. The second signal, it was hidden inside their plea for help." Kevin stared at the translated words glowing on the screen. "To the Krillian command, Earth has taken the bait. Their fleet is coming." Colonel Jake Peterson slammed his fist on the table. "So this whole thing, this call for help, it was a setup." Lisa shook her head quickly. "No, the main message is genuine. The Valdari's pain is real. The Krillians must have intercepted their broadcast and piggybacked their own code inside it. They know we're coming." Admiral Wright stood with her arms crossed, her face carved from stone. "Then the Valdari may be telling the truth, but the Krillians are waiting for us. This just got harder." President Davis's voice came over the secure line. Calm, steady, determined. "Admiral, this changes nothing. We still go. The Valdari are still in danger. If we turn back now, we prove the Krillians right, that humans are too afraid to fight." Admiral Wright bowed her head slightly. "Yes, ma'am." 3 days later, the Earth Liberation Fleet left orbit. Above the moon, the patched-together armada stretched into the darkness. 200 ships, some military, many civilian conversions. They looked fragile, uneven, almost ridiculous beside the gleaming designs of alien vessels. Yet every crew aboard was ready. Every ship carried not just weapons, but hope. From the bridge of the S Valkyrie, Commander Alex Turner gave the order. "Initiate jump." Engines roared to life, space bent and folded. The stars stretched into streaks of light. In an instant, Earth was gone. The fleet was now a single spear, flying across the galaxy. The journey was tense. In the mess halls, soldiers whispered about the trap. On engineering decks, welders worked non-stop to reinforce hulls. Medics prepared triage kits, studying Valdari biology from the data Lisa had supplied. Colonel Ben Harrison walked among his Marines, voice steady as steel. "Remember this, the Krillians think they know us. They think humans are just another weak race. They're wrong. They don't know what it means to fight someone who refuses to quit." His words echoed in the steel chambers. The soldiers nodded, fire in their eyes. In the communications bay, Kevin Brooks sat beside Tyler Johnson, the fleet's comms officer. Tyler was young, sharp-eyed, and restless. He monitored the Valdari transmissions daily. "Still nothing new," Tyler muttered, scanning frequencies. "Just fragments of pleas. Their cities are burning." Kevin leaned forward. "Keep watching. The Krillians are listening too. If they intercepted once, they'll do it again." Tyler hesitated, then asked, "Doctor, do you really believe we can win? They outnumber us, outgun us." Kevin's jaw tightened. "I've seen humanity do the impossible before. We're not the strongest, but we're the most stubborn species in the galaxy. That's our weapon." 2 weeks into the journey, long-range sensors lit up. Captain Jerry Phillips stared at the readings. His voice shook. "Commander Turner, you need to see this." Alex Turner walked to the console. His stomach dropped. The Krillian fleet stretched across the display like a black storm. 400 warships, each larger than anything humans had ever built. They surrounded Kepler 442b like a strangling hand. Alex's throat went dry. Earth's fleet was half that size and weaker in every way. He whispered, "We're outnumbered 2-1. On the planet below, the Valdari huddled in shattered cities. Speaker Talion addressed his council in a ruined hall lit by flickering fires. "Our hope lies with the humans," he said softly. "They promised they would come, but the Krillians know. They prepare for our allies as we speak." Elder Katha, her voice shaking, replied, "And if the humans fail?" Talion looked at the night sky, where Krillian warships blotted out the stars. "Then we all fall together." Back aboard the S. Valkyrie, Lisa Martinez studied the fleet data with Admiral Wright. Her hands trembled. "They've set a trap, Admiral. They're waiting for us. If we go in directly, we'll be slaughtered." Admiral Wright's eyes narrowed. "Then we won't go in directly. We don't fight on their terms. We fight on ours." Lisa looked at her, confused. "But how?" The Admiral turned to her officers. Her voice was sharp as a blade. "All ships prepare to execute Plan Ghost." The order spread through the fleet. Crews rushed to stations. Engineers activated systems hidden deep within the patched hulls. On the Krillian flagship, Warcast Velter watched the approaching human fleet with cruel amusement. "These primitives dare to challenge us?" His mandibles clicked as he laughed. "They will be broken, they will be enslaved." Then his sensor officer frowned. "Warcast, half the human fleet just vanished." Velter froze. "What do you mean vanished?" "Gone, Warcast, off our scanners." The humans had disappeared into the dark. In the silence of space, Earth's ships moved like shadows. Mining vessels had been fitted with stealth systems meant for asteroid surveys. Now they cloaked the fleet, invisible, silent. The Krillians searched desperately, their weapons flaring into the void. But there was nothing to see, nothing to strike. Admiral Wright stood tall on the bridge of the Vengeance. "Let them search," she said coldly. "When we strike, it will be from every direction." Far below, the Valdari watched the sky. For the first time in months, they saw something new, flashes of light, distant explosions. Their world trembled. "Is it them?" Elder Katha whispered. Talion's eyes filled with hope. "Yes, the humans are here." On the Krillian flagship, alarms blared. A voice shouted across the bridge. "Warcast, unknown vessels attacking from all sides." Velter's mandibles snapped shut. His fury boiled. "Then let the galaxy witness," he growled. "Let them see how we crush Earth's first fleet." His massive ships turned, weapons charging. In the blackness of space, the first shots of Earth's war echoed. The void of space erupted in fire. From the Krillian flagship, Warcast Velter watched as his fleet opened fire. Great beams of blue energy slashed across the darkness, each one powerful enough to crack a city apart. The disciplined lines of Krillian warships moved like one iron fist, crushing anything in their path. But the humans weren't there. The beam sliced through empty space. Asteroids shattered, dust clouds spread, but not one Earth ship was destroyed. "Where are they?" Velter roared, his mandibles snapping with rage. "Find them." His officers scrambled over glowing controls. "Warcast, the humans scatter. They do not fight in formation. They vanish and strike again." And strike they did. On the S. Valkyrie, Commander Alex Turner gripped the armrests of his chair. Squadron 3 now cut across their flank. A group of converted mining ships darted out of a dust cloud. Their engines burned red-hot as they hurled modified demolition charges at a Krillian cruiser. The explosions tore across the alien vessel's hull, ripping away its sensor arrays. The massive warship spun helplessly, blind. Cheers erupted on the Valkyrie's bridge. Alex raised his voice. "Don't cheer yet, keep moving. We hit and fade, never stop moving." Colonel Ben Harrison and his Marines waited inside their dropship, strapped in as the battle shook around them. They were bound for the most dangerous mission, boarding actions. His voice thundered over the intercom. "Remember this, they've never fought humans before. They don't know how ugly we fight. That's our edge. When we hit their ships, show them why Earth has never bowed to tyrants." His Marines pounded fists on armor plates, shouting back. Their blood was up. Meanwhile, in engineering on the S. Liberty, Chief Danny Walsh and Maria Santos worked frantically. Sparks rained from overhead conduits as the ship rocked under enemy fire. "Reroute power to the mining lasers," Danny shouted. Maria stared. "Mining lasers, those can't cut through their armor." Danny grinned fiercely. "Not their armor, their guns. We aim where they don't expect it." Moments later, a burst of red light fired from the Liberty's hull. The beam wasn't elegant, but it was precise. It sliced clean through the turret of a Krillian destroyer. The alien gunship exploded in a violent chain reaction. Maria's jaw dropped. It worked. Danny wiped sweat from his forehead. "Welcome to human engineering. Nothing's pretty, but everything works." The Krillians grew furious. Their ships moved in great formations, designed for intimidation and overwhelming fire. But against the humans, their order became weakness. The Earth fleet scattered like wolves. Small groups of ships appeared, struck hard, then vanished again into the dust and shadows. Modified freighters hurled scrap metal clouds into Krillian targeting systems, blinding them. Civilian haulers disguised as cargo vessels revealed hidden missile racks, spitting fire into the enemy's flanks. The Krillians had expected a duel. Instead, they were caught in an ambush of chaos. Warcast Velter's claws dug into the arms of his command throne. "Enough of this madness, crush them, bring the planet killers online." At his command, enormous vessels moved into position. These were not ships of war, but of extermination. Their weapons could vaporize entire cities in a single shot. On the Valkyrie, alarms screamed. "Commander," Jerry Phillips shouted, "the planet killers are powering up. They're targeting the surface." Alex Turner's stomach dropped. If those weapons fired, the Valdari's last cities would be erased. He slammed his fist down. "All ships, execute Emergency Protocol 7. Protect the civilians at any cost." Across the fleet, captains understood. Captain Elena Rodriguez piloted her battered vessel directly into the path of a planet killer's charging weapon. Her ship shuddered as enemy fire ripped through its hull. Sparks and smoke filled her bridge. Her crew screamed at her to retreat. Elena's voice was steady. "Not while there are 10 million souls under me. Hold this line." Her ship's shields flared, absorbing blast after blast. The hull tore apart, but she did not move. One by one, Earth ships threw themselves in the way. Fragile freighters, ugly miners, rusted colony transports. They lined up between the planet killers and the Valdari cities. Many were destroyed in seconds, bursting into fields of fire. Thousands of humans died in silence. But not one shot reached the surface. On Kepler 442b, Valdari survivors looked up at the sky. For the first time in months, the bombardment stopped. Instead of fire raining down, they saw ships, alien ships, burning to protect them. Elder Katha whispered, her voice breaking, "They shield us with their lives." Speaker Talian's throat ached as he answered, "Then perhaps there is hope after all." Back in the battle, chaos reigned. Krillian fleets scrambled. Their lines broke apart under the relentless harassment of the Earth fleet. But the humans were bleeding too. Ship after ship was lost. Entire crews vanished in fire. The fleet had come for war, and war was taking its price. On the Vengeance, Admiral Wright stood tall, her knuckles white on the railing. This is it. This is what defines us. Not the weapons, not the ships, but the choice. We choose to fight for people we've never met, and that's why we will not fall. Suddenly, Colonel Ben Harrison's drop ships punched through the chaos. They slammed into the side of a Krillian slave vessel. Explosive charges blew holes through the hull. "Marines," Ben roared as hatches opened. "Board and clear, free every prisoner you find." With war cries echoing, humanity's first soldiers stormed into an alien ship. The corridors were vast, built for giants. The air was thick and foul, but they pressed forward, rifles blazing, knives flashing. In the cells, the Valdari looked up in shock as armored humans smashed the doors open. One Marine ripped the lock off with a crowbar and shouted, "Come on, you're free." A trembling Valdari child stared at him, eyes wide with fear and hope. Slowly, she reached out. The Marine scooped her up gently. "You're safe now." On the Krillian flagship, Warcast Velter's rage boiled over. "Enough," he bellowed. "Signal the fleet. If these humans want to play games, I'll show them true terror." His weapons officer turned pale. "Warcast, what do you intend?" Velter's mandibles curled into a cruel grin. "Charge the planet killers again. This time target the humans. Erase them all." Alarms screamed across the Krillian fleet as colossal weapons began to glow. On the Valkyrie, Alex Turner saw the readings. His blood ran cold. "They're not targeting the Valdari anymore," Jerry whispered. "They're targeting us." The stars burned with fire. Krillian planet killers glowed as their weapons charged again, but this time their targets were not Valdari cities. They were the fragile ships of Earth. On the S Valkyrie, alarms shrieked. Commander Alex Turner's voice cut through the chaos. "They're coming for us. All ships, emergency maneuvers, scatter now." Engines roared. Earth's ragtag fleet broke apart, ships darting in every direction. Massive beams of annihilation lanced through the void, hunting them down. A colony transport exploded in a brilliant burst of flame. A converted freighter vanished into dust. Each hit cost hundreds of lives. Alex gritted his teeth. "We can't survive this for long." In the shadows of the battlefield, Chief Danny Walsh worked furiously in engineering. Sparks rained down, the deck shaking beneath him. "Maria," he shouted, "bring the jammers online now." Maria slammed a switch. A crude device, patched together from old entertainment systems, came alive. Static screamed across enemy sensors. Krillian gunners cursed as their targeting displays fuzzed into snow. Their planet killer beams wavered, missing their marks. Danny grinned fiercely. "That's right, you're not the only ones who can play dirty." Meanwhile, Colonel Ben Harrison and his Marines fought deep inside a Krillian slave ship. The corridors thundered as explosions shook the hull. "Keep pushing," Ben roared. His Marines stormed room after room, blasting through guards twice their size. Alien blood splattered the steel walls. In the prison hold, they found them, thousands of Valdari, weak and starving, locked in cages. Their wide black eyes shimmered with fear. A Marine smashed the door of the nearest cell. "Move, you're free." The Valdari shrank back, terrified, until one human knelt down, pulled off his helmet, and smiled softly. "It's all right. We're here to help." Slowly, the prisoners stepped forward. The first of them touched the Marine's hand. Then the dam broke, hundreds poured out, clinging to their rescuers. Ben shouted over the chaos. "Get them to the transports. We didn't come this far to leave anyone behind." On the flagship Vengeance, Admiral Wright studied the tactical display. Half the fleet was crippled. Dozens of ships were gone. But the Krillians were bleeding too. Their ordered lines were shattered, their mighty formation torn apart by Earth's swarming chaos. Lisa Martinez stood beside her, pale and shaking. "Admiral, it's not enough. They still outnumber us. They'll grind us down." Wright's eyes hardened. "Then we take the fight to their heart." She turned to her officers. "Signal Harrison, new orders. His Marines are going after the flagship." Lisa gasped. "The Krillian flagship, that's suicide." Admiral Wright's voice was iron. "Maybe, but if we cut the head off the beast, the body might fall apart, and right now it's our only chance." Colonel Ben Harrison received the order inside the burning slave ship. He wiped alien blood from his visor and grinned grimly. "All right, Marines, you heard the Admiral, new target, the big one." A young sergeant, Lisa Chen, swallowed hard. "Sir, that's the Warcast ship." Ben nodded. "Exactly. Let's go make him angry." The Marines loaded into boarding pods, crude capsules built from mining equipment. Engines roared, and the pods shot across space like bullets. Enemy fire streaked past, but most pods slammed into the Krillian flagship's hull. Charges blew, hatches opened, and Marines poured inside. The corridors of the flagship were a nightmare. The ceilings were high, the air thick with chemicals. Every step echoed like thunder. Krillian soldiers, towering and armored, swarmed to meet them. "Form up," Ben bellowed. Rifles cracked, grenades roared. Humans fought like demons, small but fierce, darting under enemy swings and striking fast. For every Marine who fell, 3 Krillians died. Deeper inside, Sergeant Chen's squad reached the prison block. Their hearts sank. Thousands more Valdari were locked here, including council leaders and scientists. Chen placed explosives on the gates and blew them open. "Move, you're coming with us." A weak, trembling Valdari elder stepped forward. His voice was barely a whisper. "We thought we would die here." Chen caught his arm, steadying him. "Not while we're around, let's go." On the Krillian command deck, Warcast Velter finally realized what was happening. His mandibles snapped shut in fury. "The humans, they dare to board my ship." He pointed one claw toward the prison levels. "Send all troops, kill the humans, recapture the prisoners. I want their corpses lined at my feet." His soldiers rushed to obey, but when they reached the cells, they found nothing but blast marks and broken locks. The humans were gone. The prisoners had vanished with them. On the S. Valkyrie, Alex Turner received the report. His heart surged with pride. They did it. They freed the Valdari leaders. But the moment was short-lived. Jerry Phillips, his sensor chief, turned pale. "Commander, the flagship's engines are powering up. They're aiming at us." Alex's chest tightened. The Warcast was furious, and his wrath was now aimed directly at the Valkyrie. On the Krillian bridge, Velter's voice thundered. "Bring me the humans' flagship. Tear it apart." The colossal guns of the Krillian command ship swung toward Alex's vessel. The Krillian flagship loomed like a mountain of steel. Its cannons glowed, charging with deadly light. On the bridge of the S. Valkyrie, Commander Alex Turner felt the deck rumble as his ship turned to face the monster. His crew looked at him, pale and silent. They all knew one direct hit would end them. Jerry Phillips, the sensor chief, whispered, "Sir, their weapons are locked. We can't dodge this." Alex's jaw tightened. His voice was steady. "Then we don't dodge, we fight." He slammed the comm switch. "All ships, this is Turner. Draw their fire. Keep them off us as long as you can. The Valkyrie will hold the line." Outside, Earth's fleet moved like angry wasps. Crude freighters dove at Krillian warships, spitting missiles. Civilian transports, their hulls patched with armor, rammed enemy destroyers head-on. Each move bought seconds the Valkyrie desperately needed. But seconds were running out. Inside the flagship, Warcast Velter watched with a cruel smile. "Pitiful," he hissed. "They hide in shadows, they strike like cowards, but against true power they will crumble." "Fire," he ordered. The Krillian cannons unleashed their wrath. Blinding beams of energy lanced through the void, tearing toward the Valkyrie. On the human bridge, alarms screamed. Shields flared white, cracking under the assault. The deck shook violently, sparks showering down. "Shields at 20%, shouted Jerry. "Hull breaches on deck 6. Alex gripped the railing. "Stay on them, we're not breaking." In engineering, Chief Danny Walsh worked like a man possessed. Steam hissed from ruptured pipes. Crewmen screamed as fire licked across the consoles. "Danny," Maria Santos yelled, "we've got nothing left, we can't take another hit." Danny's eyes burned with desperation. "Then we don't take it, we give it back." He pointed to the mining lasers rigged along the hull. "Overload them, push every watt we have left." Maria's eyes widened. "That'll burn out the ship." Danny bared his teeth, "Then let it burn." The Valkyrie's hull glowed red as its makeshift weapons screamed to life. A torrent of overloaded energy erupted, slashing across the Krillian flagship. The beam wasn't powerful enough to destroy it, but it ripped straight through one of its massive cannons, tearing the weapon apart in a cascade of explosions. On the Krillian bridge, Velter's amusement vanished. His mandibles clicked in fury. "They crippled a war cannon. with mining tools. He roared to his crew, "Kill them all now." The battle turned savage. Earth's fleet swarmed the enemy like wolves tearing at a lion. Marines boarded more ships, blasting through Krillian soldiers with relentless fury. Engineers turned construction charges into bombs, detonating them in enemy engine bays. For every human ship that died, 3 Krillian ships faltered. But the price was unbearable. Entire crews perished, the blackness of space filled with burning wrecks. On the Vengeance, Admiral Wright's voice was cold, her face streaked with sweat. "We are holding, but just barely. If we fall here, the Valdari are finished. We can't fail." Lisa Martinez stood beside her, clutching the rail. Her voice shook. "Admiral, I think I've found something." She pointed to the translated files the Valdari had sent. "The Krillians rely on coordination. Their ships fight in perfect formation, like a single organism. If we can cut the head off the command net, their flagship, the whole fleet will stumble." Admiral Wright's eyes narrowed. "And give us the chance to break them." Lisa nodded. "Exactly." The Admiral's voice rose. "Then we take their flagship at any cost." On the Valkyrie, Alex Turner received the new order. His blood ran cold. "Attack the flagship, the heart of the storm." He opened comms to his fleet. His voice carried across hundreds of ships. "This is Commander Turner. The Krillians think they're gods, untouchable, but they've never faced us. They've never faced humanity. Today, we show them what it means to fight people who refuse to bow." A chorus of voices answered, fierce and united. "For Earth. For the Valdari. For freedom." The human fleet surged forward. Ugly, battered ships hurled themselves at the Krillian behemoth. Missiles streaked through space. Demolition charges exploded against armored hull. Marines launched boarding pods like bullets into the enemy giant. The Valkyrie led the charge, its mining beams glowing white-hot, cutting deep scars across the flagship's armor. On the Krillian bridge, Velter's rage boiled. "Impossible, they are insects. How can insects bite so deep?" His claws scraped against the command throne. "Then crush them with everything we have. If we must, burn the planet itself, leave nothing alive." In the chaos of battle, Colonel Ben Harrison and his Marines carved their way deeper inside the flagship. The air was thick with smoke, the corridors littered with alien corpses. They pushed toward the command core, where the Warcast himself waited. "Keep moving," Ben shouted, rifle blazing. "The whole fleet depends on us." Above the planet, Valdari survivors watched the sky. For months, they had seen nothing but enemy fire. Now they saw human ships blazing, defying, refusing to break. Elder Catha whispered, "They fight not for conquest, not for themselves, they fight for us." Speaker Talion's eyes brimmed with tears. "Then perhaps we are not alone in this galaxy after all." Back on the Valkyrie, alarms shrieked. The ship was breaking apart. Jerry's voice cracked. "Commander, we can't take another volley. Shields gone, engines failing if they hit us again." Alex's hands tightened on the railing. His heart pounded. He stared at the monstrous flagship filling the screen. And then the sensors lit up. Jerry gasped, "Sir, I'm reading more ships, a whole formation inbound fast." Alex's stomach twisted. "Reinforcements." Jerry swallowed hard. "Yes, sir, but they're not human." The bridge of the Valkyrie went silent. Every eye locked on the screens as hundreds of new signatures appeared. Sleek vessels with unfamiliar shapes, darting through the void with speed and grace. Jerry Phillips whispered, "Sir, those aren't Krillian, and they're not us." Lisa Martinez leaned forward, her breath caught in her throat. "It's the Valdari." The new ships were smaller than Krillian warships, clearly built for exploration, not war. But their hulls glowed with modifications, crude weapons bolted on, shields reinforced with human advice. Speaker Talion's voice crackled through the comms. "People of Earth, we could not stand idle while you bled for us. You showed us how to fight. Now we stand with you." A roar of cheers filled the Valkyrie's bridge. Alex Turner's chest swelled. "Then let's finish this together." The battle exploded into chaos. Valdari ships swarmed alongside the human fleet, their smaller craft weaving between Krillian giants. They fired weapons cobbled together from mining beams and repurposed engines, slicing through enemy hulls with unexpected precision. The Krillian formation wavered. For the first time in their empire's history, their perfect order fractured. Admiral Wright's voice cut across the comms, sharp and fierce. All ships focus fire on the flagship. Today, the Empire learns fear. Inside the flagship, Colonel Ben Harrison and his Marines reached the command chamber. Towering doors blew apart in a storm of fire and smoke. And there he was. Warcast Velter, massive and armored, his mandibles gleaming like blades. His eyes glowed with fury as he rose from his throne. "You humans dare enter my domain?" His voice rumbled like thunder. "You are insects. I will crush you myself." Ben leveled his rifle. His Marines spread out, weapons raised. "We've killed your soldiers, we've freed your prisoners, and now we're here for you." The chamber erupted in battle. Krillian guards charged, claws flashing. Marines fought back with grit and fury, their rifles blazing, their knives striking true. Ben himself faced Velter. The Warcast swung a massive energy blade, smashing through steel. Ben dodged, rolling across the floor, firing round after round into the monster's chest plate. Sparks flew, but the alien did not fall. "You cannot win," Velter roared. Ben spat blood and grinned. "We don't need to win pretty, we just need to win." He triggered the charges his Marines had planted around the chamber. Explosions tore through the command consoles. The flagship shuddered violently. Outside, the Krillian fleet faltered. Their ships, once perfectly coordinated, suddenly staggered as their command net collapsed. Admiral Wright seized the moment. "Now all ships strike with everything you have." The Earth-Valdari alliance surged forward. Missiles screamed. Lasers cut. Mining charges detonated in blinding bursts. Krillian warships began to fall, one, then another, then entire squadrons. The tide had turned. On the Valkyrie, Lisa clutched the console, tears burning in her eyes. "We're doing it. We're actually doing it." Kevin leaned beside her, his face streaked with sweat. "Human stubbornness, alien courage, it's enough." Alex's voice was low but steady. "It has to be." In the shattered command chamber, Warcast Velter staggered, smoke pouring from his wounds. He glared at Ben Harrison, hatred burning in his alien eyes. "You are nothing," Velter hissed. "This galaxy will consume you. Humanity will be ashes." Ben raised his rifle one last time. "Maybe, but not today." The shot echoed like thunder. Velter fell, his massive body crashing to the floor. The flagship went dark. Across the battlefield, Krillian ships froze, their coordination shattered. Some tried to flee. Others were torn apart by the swarming humans and Valdari. The battle was over. Silence fell in the war room aboard the Vengeance. Admiral Wright stood tall, her eyes sweeping across the smoking battlefield. "Transmit to all ships," she ordered. "The Krillians are broken, the Valdari are free." A cheer erupted across the fleet, tired, ragged, but fierce. Humanity had won its first war among the stars. Days later, Alex Turner stood on the surface of Kepler 442b. The once burning cities now stirred with life again. Valdari children played in the ruins, laughter mixing with the sounds of reconstruction. Human engineers worked beside alien builders, raising shelters from the wreckage. Speaker Talion approached, his robes torn but his voice strong. "You came as strangers, you leave as brothers. The Valdari will never forget what you gave us." Alex smiled faintly. "We gave what we had, nothing more, nothing less." Talion bowed, and it was enough. In the rebuilt council chamber, Admiral Wright addressed a gathering of Valdari and humans. Her voice carried the weight of history. "Today we stood together against tyranny. Tomorrow, others will call for help. The Krillians will not forgive this defeat. They will return. And when they do, they will not find one world waiting. They will find many." The room fell silent as her words sank in. Humanity's role had changed forever. No longer just a world looking at the stars. Now, a defender of the galaxy. As night fell over Kepler 442b, Lisa Martinez looked up at the sky. The stars glittered bright, unbroken by enemy ships. She whispered softly to herself. "We listened to the stars, and this time the stars answered back." But in the distant void, deep within Krillian space, massive fleets stirred. New warcasts sharpened their blades. Vengeance burned in their blood. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had just fired the first shot of a war that would shape the future of every world.